Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. No one can no longer deny that Tesla's revenue is growing exponentially. If we look back in time, we can see over the past 10 years, Tesla has pretty much made as much in revenue in Q4 than what they did 3 to 4 years earlier for the entire year. And I think we will see the same thing happening again in 2023. My bet is that Q4 of 2023 will be bigger in revenue than the entire year of 2020, where Tesla made about $31 billion in revenue. But this is just the beginning. Tesla's growth in revenue has just started, and we are about to see the first step this year of Tesla taking it to the next level. So let's take out why Tesla's stock does deserve a high multiple, as their growth potential is not slowing down but speeding up. And let's dive right in. So, because of the insane growth when we are looking back and the insane potential for growth looking forward, that is one of the reasons why Tesla stock has such a high multiple, because they are not just growing a little bit in revenue, they are growing exponential. Since 2020, that was the first year they become profitable, and they are speeding up as many of their businesses inside Tesla are starting to take shape and will soon start earning Tesla billions of dollars as well. But before we get to that, let's just take a look at this little fun chart that Matthias made and shared on Twitter, because many may know that Tesla is the fastest growing large manufacturer in history. But even compared to Amazon, that has been the golden success story, Tesla's revenue has been growing much faster than Amazon did in the first 13 years. And since 2020, Tesla's revenue rocket really took off. And remember, people laughed at the idea that Amazon could ever become bigger than Sears. That was a joke, right? But Amazon did overtake them and put them out of business. Just listen to this interview from back in 1999, how ridiculous the interviewer think this sounds, and how confident the investor that gets Amazon is.
It went up almost 1,000% last year. When have you seen anything comparable?
Nothing.
I think my generation grew up with Sears.
And Amazon is worth 20% more than Sears is worth in market capitalization.
How do you view that phenomenon that Amazon today is worth more than Sears?
Investors are focused on the future. Amazon has growth potential that Sears doesn't.
A couple of geeks who sketched out some software could destroy Sears Roebuck.
That's the beauty of technology and the microprocessor. We've never seen anything like it.
If you were running Walmart today, would you feel threatened by Amazon?
Absolutely.
Would you decide to go after them?
Absolutely.
So people were laughing about the thought of Amazon being worth more than Sears and some of the other big boys in retail. But guess they're not laughing anymore. And Tesla is growing faster than Amazon in revenue, much faster. And in 2022, they grew 51% in revenue. 2022 was a tough year for most investors, as even Tesla was down 70% in 2022. Whether you know it or not, Tesla's performance really matters to the wider market, because the average American retirement account are actually close entwined with Tesla stock's performance. You see, the S&P 500 is the most popular index used by the public to build their retirement investments. And it includes a lot of exposure to the Tesla stock, so much in fact that it cost index investors billions of dollars, accounting for 10% of the S&P's total loss in 2022. In other words, whether or not you own Tesla shares, nearly every portfolio from the biggest asset managers to beginner investors experience major pain in the last 12 months, but true Tesla investors are of course long-term investors, so this all of course matters a lot less. But it also means that no real gains in the short term. But there are always ways to try to protect your wealth and get back what you should have had, like investing in asset class that outpaced the S&P 500 by more than 2x over the last 26 years, one that even Elon Musk invests in. I am of course talking about contemporary art. Its market used to be nearly impossible to access, but now you can access it in minutes without needing millions of dollars. Thanks to Masterworks, the sponsor of this video. Masterworks paid out tens of millions of dollars to their investor last year, and that's not a one-off. Every Masterworks exits to date has returned a profit to its investors like you. Just take a look at this performance. The results speak for themselves. With 645,000 plus users, Masterworks offering have sold out in minutes. They even had to make a waiting list for new users, but that is where I come in, as I had got a special access to all my followers to skip the waiting list. So click my link in the description below right now to get access to the asset that never really goes down, contemporary art. And thanks to Masterworks for sponsoring this video. But getting back to Tesla's revenue that is growing much faster than Amazon. Well, that is just Amazon, right? Sure, but let's check Tesla's revenue from when they hit $10 billion in revenue in a physical year, which was 2017 for Tesla when they had $11.7 billion in revenue. So as you can see on this chart from Forward Gap on Twitter, Tesla has been growing faster in revenue over a 5-year period from when they crossed $10 billion in revenue. Tesla got to $81.5 billion last year in revenue, up from the $11.7 billion in 2017. Facebook only got up to $70.7 billion in 5 years after they crossed the $10 billion in revenue. Apple, $65.2 billion, Google, $37.9 billion, and Microsoft, $28.4 billion. These are the giants that we are always referring to when we talk about companies that have had tremendous success and grown really, really fast. But no one of these giants has grown as fast as Tesla. Tesla has had a compound annual growth rate from 2017 to 2022 of 47.3% in revenue. So there is no denying Tesla is growing insanely fast in revenue, but Tesla is not doing it by selling everything to $0 in margin or at a loss. Tesla has industry-leading gross margin on their cars even after their price cut, and Tesla only just got profitable in 2020 when they had their first year with positive net income. So that chart is going up even faster. Tesla is earning good money on their businesses, and this year I think we will see Tesla grow even faster in both revenue and net income. So let's just take a little peek forward in time and see what low-hanging fruit Tesla is able to pick. Well, let's get the obvious out of the way first. If Tesla makes about 1.8 million cars, as their official target is, with an average selling price of a bit over $47,000, they would get close to $85 billion on their cars sales alone. If you think this is conservative and they will be able to do 2 million cars, then we are looking at something closer to $95 billion. So on their pure car sales in 2023, they will have more revenue than what they did with all of their business in 2022. And if we expect Tesla to be able to continue to grow about 50% as they are aiming for, then already next year, Tesla could have about $127 billion in revenue if the average selling price of their cars stays about the $47,000 range. But that is probably highly unlikely, as Tesla will ramp up their semi-truck that has a really high sticker price and also ramp up their Cybertruck that is also more expensive than the 3 and Y. So if the average selling price stays at about $52,000 That is still lower than it was in both 2022 and 2021, and Tesla hit about 2.7 million cars in 2024. That would be a conservative 50% growth. We are looking about something like $140 billion in automotive revenue. So we could see Tesla have about twice the amount of automotive revenue in 2024 than what they had in 2022, with its $71.4 billion in automotive revenue. So their very big growth in revenue could continue. And just on their automotive side of the business, but nothing we haven't seen before. They did grow more than twice the amount in automotive revenue from 2020 to 2022, from $27.2 billion to $71.4 billion. So not completely unlikely, we have seen it before, and now we have 2 new factories ramping up. But Tesla's other businesses are really going to take off in 2023 and a big contributor to the revenue in 2024. Remember Tesla's little Lathrop Megapack factory. When that factory is ramped up and producing the 10,000 units, that on average will probably cost about $2 million. But let's just stick with that, as that will make the math very easy. 10,000 times 2 million, that is $20 billion just from that one little single battery factory on the sales of 10,000 Megapacks. But on top of that, Tesla will get $35 per kilowatt hour they make in the US battery tax incentive. And 1 Megapack is 3.9 megawatt hours, so 3,900 kilowatt hours. So Tesla will get about $136,500 from the government per Megapack they sell. And I do believe they will be fully ramped in 2024, so already next year they could earn $20 billion on Megapack sales, and on top of that get $1.365 billion from the US government. So about $21.3 billion from that single battery factory. But remember, they did produce about 6.5 gigawatt hours in 2022. with not a very big contribution from the Lathrop factory. So Tesla seems to be able to produce about 6 gigawatt hours from the Nevada factory as well. So that is about another 1,538 megapacks, bringing in about $3 billion more in sales and about $200 million in battery tax incentive. So we end up with about $24.5 billion in revenue the year the Tesla is fully ramped up with the Lathrop factory, which is very likely next year in 2024. And to put those numbers into perspective, that is about the same amount of revenue that Tesla made in all of 2019, just 4 years ago. And this would be just from the mega pack business. So we might be able to add another $24.5 billion on top of Tesla's automotive revenue in 2024, and maybe like $10 billion already this year. But Tesla has also just released their full self-driving beta software version 11, and this software is getting ridiculously good, as All In Tesla Club showed this week on Twitter, as they made a funny video pretending to be a Tesla Q, saying that Tesla full self-driving would never be able to do what they showed it was doing. Very funny. Here is a little snippet.
What they promised us is that we'd be able to just name any destination, be able to say, take me to Wells Fargo. And that just like that, it would be able to search for places, be able to allow us to pick a destination, and just take us there with us just putting the car into gear, and it drives us the entire way there without any human input. That clearly is never going to happen. Like this, for example, here is an unprotected left. And you can see here the cameras just aren't good enough to do this. There's this obstruction here, and it just doesn't have a good enough view. So the camera setup that we have here is never really going to be good enough to, for example, spot a car like that that's coming and be able to make this unprotected left even when there's traffic coming from both directions. It's just never going to be good enough.
Very well played. Yes, full self-driving beta is pretty much already level 5. It is just not 100% there yet. It still makes mistakes. That is why it's called beta. But you can tell it where to go, and it does it with no LiDAR or geofencing, just amazing. And even though this is still not an autonomous vehicle, but it is getting very, very good, and it is a software feature that many people would like to have. And this software is no longer limited to the 2,000 testers as it was 1.5 years ago. It is now available for every Tesla owner in the US, and Tesla already has over 400,000 beta testers now. But I think this will skyrocket this year, as these 400,000 people are going to show this off to all their friends that also want this technology, and you are not going to get anything close to this with anyone else but Tesla. So I could easily see Tesla getting up to 1 million beta testers just in 2023, as more people that have already bought a Tesla is starting to buy it, and probably more of the maybe 800,000 new Teslas that are going to be sold in 2023 in the US will get the full self-driving software now, as it is becoming so good. But for Tesla to sell about 500,000 full self-driving software packages that cost $15,000 as of now could bring in Tesla maybe something like $7.5 billion in revenue. But remember, this is just software, so we are probably talking about 80 to 90% profits of that revenue. So very good revenue from this side of the business as well. And that could easily double in 2024 to $15 billion, as it will become much better and Tesla will sell even more cars, and maybe even have this software being ready in other places in the world as well. As Elon wrote on Twitter, the software is 90% the same all over the world, so it's mostly down to regulatory approval of the software. But they are luckily very data driven, so hopefully it will not drown too much in Europe's red tape. So we could have a scenario where Tesla in 2024 could have $140 billion in automotive revenue, $25 billion in revenue from their megapacks alone, $15 billion in full self-driving software alone. That is $179 billion in revenue in 2024. And then we have not taken into calculation the Powerwall business or the maintenance of the megapacks being installed. Remember, that is about $5,000 per year per megapack. Not much, but it all adds up. Or the money coming from them opening up their supercharging network in the US, Europe and Australia, their solar roof business, solar business in general, their insurance business, and maybe even we will start to see some business from their robots or renting out the Dojo computer, and maybe more. Pretty easy to see that Tesla could earn more than double the amount in total revenue next year than what they did last year. So let me just show you what that would look like. Yep, Tesla is not going to slow down. They are going to speed up, just as Elon said they would at Battery Day.
The long-term scaling of Tesla and the sustainable energy products that we make will be massively increased. So, what tends to happen as companies get bigger is things tend to slow down. Actually, they're going to speed up.
As they get bigger, they will not slow down, only speed up. And we are able to see the first step of that here in 2023, when people will start to see how much more than just a car company Tesla really is. And you can try at home to let the growth play out just a couple of more years. And you will see Tesla will soon not just be the most valuable automaker on the planet, but one of the most valuable companies in the world, period.
And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.